Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Vobes Show. I'm Richard Vobes. It is the 19th of March 2020, and here we are again. This is an extra show from my normal schedule of shows. Normally I do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's Thursday, but because of the many people that may be self-isolating or people who are no longer working temporarily, I've decided to do shows and see if people want to come along and interact. The idea of the show is not so much that I'm there to entertain, although I'll do my best to entertain, but it is also a conversation that we all have together. So you have a conversation, and I talk to you, you talk to me, and you can talk to each other as well. Sometimes I get confused when I'm reading the comments, but that is the nature of the beast, and we just try and sort through the muddles that we are going through at the moment. Yesterday did a lovely show with the lovely Julia and had a fantastic time. It's always great when there's somebody else on the show, and Julia is a great companion for me on the show. But it would be lovely to say I would welcome more guests to come in. But of course, at the moment, we've got to be very careful about who we sit next to and what they've been up to in the last 24 hours or whatever, and have they washed their hands. But here we are. Another day, a Thursday, pretty miserable day in the southeast here. Very grey and very drizzly, but I have been out filming with the lovely Julia. More on that later on. We're also, in tonight's show, we're going to find out, you think it's bad going to the shops here with empty shelves and panic buying. Well, we're going to give you an insight to what it's like in Croatia. You have not seen anything quite like this, and I'm very pleased for and thankful to Andrew Norris for sending us this rather remarkable piece of film that we're going to watch a little later on in tonight's show. Also, Dave Ford is at large and he wants you to work out where he is. So Dave Ford with his lovely Whippet Logan will be appearing on the show. Don't forget, you can send your videos to me and we will play them in. If you've got something to say, you've got a piece that you would like to get off your chest, then why not do a piece to camera, get it off your chest. If you want to moan, get it off your chest and send it to me. The information on how to send it to me is actually in the description on the YouTube video, but it's to my email address, richard@vobes.com, via WeTransfer. Let's see who is actually out there in the Vobosphere and give them a big hello. We've got Bibbly Bobbly Boo, hello to you. Jeff Kellison is out there, who is on the trail of gummy bears. I'm afraid to say that all the gummy bears have been sold out in the shops at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. Mickey Baines is sort of telling everybody he's been looking for butter in the shops, and don't talk to him about butter because it's all gone. What about his sandwiches? He's saying, well, this is it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's margarine. Who knows? It's not in the shops, whatever it is. Paul Smith is there. Audrey Forbes-Hamilton has joined us. Philip Hammond, good evening to you. We have Andy Frierson, Rami Boo, Panic Buyers and Hoarders. Yes, that's it. There's going to be some fascinating insight to the panic buying going on in Croatia in a little later in today's show. Barbara Childs, salvation is at hand. Oh, fantastic. Do tell us more about that. We did hear from Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, earlier today, who said that we've got probably 12 weeks of this hell in front of us. I don't know if I can hold my bowels for 12 weeks, because I will need to go to the loo at some point, and I would like to wipe my bottom on something other than the Jeffrey Archer novel that I've put aside for it. But if you know something different, Barbara Charles, then do let us know. Wendy Lowry says good evening. Andy Stacey is there. Ed Loud is with us, which is great news. He says dun 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 dun, or words to that bit. Oh, that's he's singing the music. Excellent. Thank you very much. I've forgotten how that goes. I mean, I play it in every day, but when you play something in, I don't get to hear it. So I heard it and I know how it goes, but I can't sing it to you now. Marriott Genealogy is out there. Cynthia's Camera, good evening to you. Rami Burv said, Mickey Baines, Les Jarvis, Anne Osborne. Hello, Anne. Hope you're doing all right over there in Brighton. Lovely Julia is also with us. Good evening, Richard and everyone. Mikey Stevens, good evening. Good evening, Maybelline. You can call me Maybelline tonight if you wish. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's margarine. Maybe it's a tangerine. Do you remember those adverts? Maybe it's Maybelline. Fiona Cooper says, hi. Hello, Fiona. Lovely to see you. That night... that might be because they've all found a drug to combat coronavirus, says Mickey. Yeah, maybe it's Maybelline is the actual drug. Dean Cooper has also signed on. Tonight, I started when I was prepping up the show on a little bit of peppermint tea. This was tea I must have bought about 2 years ago and has been on the back of the shelf. I've been going through, you know what it's like, when you can't buy anything in the shops because every other bugger has bought it all. Well, I was thinking there must be something here I can drink then. Where's all the tea and coffee? It's all gone. Oh, well, here we go. And an old, and presumably quite healthy for me, peppermint tea. So I was on that. But I drank that during the getting up the ready of the show. And now I'm on my rationing. I'm rationing the coffee, because I'll probably run out. My son Billy, hang on a minute, I need a slurp here. My son Billy went over to Morrison's first thing this morning, said it was bedlam. Morrison's is the supermarket very close to my house. And then this evening he went over about 5:30. I mean, that was obviously a busy time because people are coming back from work, but he went over there. And he said, there's nothing. There is nothing on the shelves, and yet it's still busy with people. I've heard that people have been fighting. It's worse than Black Friday. Have you been out in the supermarkets, and what are they like? That's what I want to find out from the audience tonight. Ian Beddoes, hello all. Hello, Ian. He is busy growing his own food. He doesn't need to go to the supermarkets. Mark Donny McLeod says, I'm on 7 day of isolation. Maybe you've been tangoed. Yes, I haven't. I need to be tangoed, actually. Tango would be quite nice. Ed Loud says maybe she's born with it. Ah, yes, I remember. Born with a tub of margarine in her gob. How lovely is that? Rami Boo says you keep freezing. It may be the internet. It may be the fact that my kids are probably all sharing my internet. So I do apologise if I am freezing. Robert Croser says, need the SE on. The SE is on, but thank God for mild weather at the moment. Even though it's a bit drizzly, it is mild weather out there. Ernie Chocks Away says, Richard, I'm watching from home for the next 3 months. Oh, are you self-isolating? Or have they just had enough of you? Or are you stuck in... Oh, you said at home. Yeah, in a home or your home. Or is it a care... Who knows? Let's not ask. Mark Donny McLeod says, maybe it's because she's 19 and perfect. I remember those adverts too. Yes, we're all being sold something. The minute you put the telly on, someone is trying to sell you something. I don't watch the television anymore. Thank goodness for that. Wholesalers are just about empty too, says Philip Hammond. In fact, Kevin Hall rang me up today and he said that he'd gone to his cash and carry and there was barely anything there. And the weird thing is, though, that at some point, surely, the people who've bought all this stuff have got to start eating it, haven't they? They've got to start consuming all this stuff. They can't just keep buying and hoarding it, because what will happen is it'll all go off and they'll be slinging it away. And I hope that they feel morally bad about it. Is anybody here? I mean, nobody's actually going to own up to any hoarding if they've hoarded it. And actually, what will happen is if you ask anyone if they're hoarding food or panic buying, I bet they don't even think that they are. They'll assume that everybody else is, but I bet they don't even assume. Now, I know Kevin said he had something like 8 tins of soup in his trolley today. And somebody accused him in line and said, oh, I can see you're stocking up. And he said, no, actually, I'm buying for other people. which of course may be the case. But nobody is going out and just buying one tin. You know, if you're on there and you see 10 tins of soup or baked beans, are you just going to pick up, I just take the one then? Or are you going to take 2 or 3, just in case? So who is actually really and truly not panic buying in any way or hoarding at all? That's what I'd be interested. Who's going to own up? Where in Sussex says, I saw a video earlier, bloke staring into the camera, telling people not to stare into space and tearing their hair out. And he was bald. Well, maybe he was speaking from experience, you know, telling people not to do it because they'll end up looking like him, which would be bloody awful. Wayward, greetings from Friday morning in New Zealand. There we are. Look, you're ahead of the time. Whilst you're there, you're obviously ahead of everybody. Could you look in around you and tell, has coronavirus cleared up from you? Because we want the future news. And also, if you've got the lottery numbers, that would be handy too. He says, with borders closed here, the mother country seems more further away than ever. My June holiday in the UK isn't happening. What a shame. Well, my daughter is in New Zealand at the moment, and I spoke to her the other day, and she said that she's in Queenstown, which is a bit of a touristy place, and she said there's not many tourists here, and a lot of it people rely on work on the hotels and the bars and all the events, the whole recreation business. And she said a number of the people who work there and have been working there for a year or got permits to work for 2 years or whatever, they're all being sent home or they're going home because they can't earn any money. So I said to Georgie, with horror on my face, are you thinking of coming home? Thinking, A, where will I put her? But more importantly, B, how will I feed her? But obviously, if she wants to come home, she'd be more than welcome to come home. But she said, no, Dad, I'm staying. I don't want to be stunk out by the Essie. So good for her. Peter May says, hey, all hope you're all safe. Thank you very much, Peter. So far we are. Ed says, hello to you, Wayward, in New Zealand. New Zealand far away, but close in our hearts. Yes, there are, I think, per capita, more open spaces to have that social distance from each other in New Zealand. You can all stand on a peak of a mountain with a loud hailer, can't you? And be like 3 or 4 miles from each other and go, hello, how are you? I've still got my little cough. Not the corona cough. This is the getting rid of the phlegm cough, but it's pretty much gone now. Although actually, you know, it's the evening and these things sort of come on a bit. So who knows? I mean, in the meantime, I could have caught something, but apparently if you've got sniffles and you haven't got the high temperature, you don't have it. So that's okay. Ed Loud says, I've said that. AB Shells says that shelves are stocked in the northeast of the US except toilet paper and cleaner. Yeah, well, I don't know what they're doing over with this toilet paper, but apparently this stuff doesn't give you the runs. Nobody seems to have quite got that yet. Linda Kane says nobody ever admits that they're hoarders. Exactly. That's the theory. Nobody knows it's them. Nobody thinks that going to a shop 5 times a day or going round 7 different supermarkets is unusual behaviour. Think they're all doing the right thing. Ian Beddoes says that we bought loads a few weeks ago in readiness for our trip to Spain in the motorhome. So, you know, that's a legitimate thing. If you're thinking you're going on holiday and what have you, of course you're going to be doing that. Andy Frierson says, I went to Asda this morning. Queues right up to the aisles. Absolute chaos. And next to nothing in the fridge, freezers and shelves. Definitely no gummy bears, because that's the first thing he looked for. Of course, most people will be looking for their gummy bears. We've got to keep Jeff Kellison amused and humoured. Talking of Jeff Kellison, he very kindly donated £60 to the Bald Explorer, or to the Vobes show actually, to purchase a phone. Now, I haven't had a chance to do that today because I was out filming with the lovely Julia. I'm going to show you a little clip of that in a mo. And then I had to come back and edit the video ready for the morning. But I do hope to get out tomorrow and see if I can purchase a cheap phone so that people can call in to the show. I'll need to work out how to wire it into the studio so that we can actually hear it. But we will try and take some calls. I'll try and organise that tomorrow. Of course, it may not be ready by tomorrow, but we're going to do our best. I'm aiming to do live shows like this conversation, see how you are, keep checking in every night for the foreseeable future, as they say. Because after all, it may be that we can't get out, and one's got to make the most of it. Jeff Kellerson says there's a special place in heaven. I've just lost your special place in heaven. Where did your special place in heaven go? For Kevin. Yes, there is a special place in heaven for Kevin. And they're building it now, actually. And they're going to get enough padded things on the walls for him. Ed Loud says, I always keep a supply of dried potatoes. Not potatoes. It might be potatoes. Who knows? Somewhere I've got some powdered egg. I might have to get that out. At home, he says, supposed I was ready for pre-hoarded. Haven't done shopping in weeks. I lost my job, so was looking after Grandad. Yes, so that's very sad. I hope that you managed to survive, Ed. Ramiboo says we haven't, as we've only got the store once or twice a month. However, I find TP at this point I might. I'm not sure what TP is. Michael Angel says, I'm a hoarder, but not of food or toilet rolls. Oh, what do you hoard then? Be interested. Maybe some of that is edible, that you don't realise it's edible. Tired of that not being able to find any. Wendy Laurie says, I'm disgusted at the way people are being so greedy and selfish. And we know this, though, don't we? We know this because the slightest sense that something is wrong, and, when there was trouble with the oil, people were queuing up at petrol stations. The slightest thing, people will go out and buy, and they never seem to learn. They think that crisis is the only thing. I think because people live in little bubbles and they don't realise that in their world, I mean, here we have 66 million people. A lot of people are working in industries which create these shelves load of stuff that often we walk past and wouldn't look twice at. But of course now we're looking and thinking, that old bit of rubber hosing, that might make a nice little sausage or something. If I dress that with a little bit of paraffin wick, that could be quite nice. I think people will be being very inventive in what they can eat. There does seem to be a lot of grass growing at the moment, so some will be smoking it. Others, I'm sure, will be shoving it in between two bits of bread, if they can find some bits of bread, and eating that. Very shortly, we will be finding out what it's like in Croatia. The panic buying, the madness of the crowds, the state of the shops. We will be going over to see exactly what it's like this very day. Earlier today, Andrew Norris went out and braved. He's now sitting back with bruises, unfortunately, because he had to get in amongst the crowds there to bring the footage to us. But it is absolutely worth hanging on to see this remarkable bit of film. Mark Donny McLeod says bakery back in Cayley and Bradford, and just as I got sick overtime, it's on. Typical Morrison's will be filling up soon. Yes, I'm sure that the supermarkets will be filling up very soon. The madness will be over, and those people who've bought tons will just have to start consuming them, and I think the rest of us will. We just have to be a bit patient. Dean Cooper says Tesco in Uckfield last night was empty. All the basic stuff wiped out. Meat and veg, tin food, nothing to buy. It's like Christmas. It's just like Christmas, an extended Christmas period. And you know what it's like after Christmas? Everyone's sitting there trying to eat everything that they bought, trying to get the value out of everything. Meanwhile, the supermarkets have restocked. And everything is just chock-a-block in the supermarkets, and nobody wants it for a few days. And I have a feeling that we're going to kind of go through that before it settles down. That's how I think it will be. Andy Stacey says, I can't panic buy because there's nothing left. No, absolutely. Where in Sussex says, I don't think that people on the whole are necessarily hoarding as such, but if we have a symptom in this house, we worked out we need not leave 2 weeks. 5 people for 2 weeks. We may not even have it. Well, this is the weird thinking that people think that they're going to assume they're going to get the virus, and therefore if they've got to stay in for 14 days, have they got 14 days worth of food? Now, I would like to know who sits down and works out a menu for 14 days and says, on day 12, I think I'll have asparagus and white wine sauce. So I'm going to need another bottle of white wine for that day. Maybe I'll have some of those very nice guinea fowl. So we better get a couple of extra of those on Tuesday. And then what about on the day 13? Well, day 13, yes, I think some foie gras will be quite nice. Cream cheese, of course. And maybe a little bit of gravy to splash over the top. And on day 14, I think we'll just go down to the chippy and have some fish and chips if they're open, if they're alive, if they haven't died because there's nothing left in the supermarket. Who actually works it out like that? Or do they just pile up, it's like supermarket sweep. Do you remember that? Supermarket sweep? Nigel Sadler's out there, and he says that it's the end of the summer in New Zealand and Oz, so theoretically they should be having an easy time of it. Why should they be having an easy time of it? Kevin's Rambles says, thanks, Jeff. It was partly for my daughter, who's halfway through a 14-day self-isolation. She suffers from anxiety, which is a worry for me, so now he's anxious. So just trying to help as best he can. Of course, that's the thing, The trouble is you look at other people and you're going to sort of think that they're hoarding, even though they actually might not be, plus the fact nobody's actually admitting to whether they're doing that or not. So that's the case. I'm sorry if I don't get to all your comments. Please bear and be patient. I will do my best. Jeff Kellison says, I wish the person that had a problem with Kevin buying 8 cans of soup could see a horde of Americans at Costco. Exactly. I mean, our supermarket trolleys are probably a third of the size of what they are in America. Audrey Forbes Hamilton says, look how much people buy at Christmas when the shops are only shut for one day. This situation is Christmas magnified many times. Exactly my sentiment. And bread at the moment is like gold dust. Or is it more appropriate to say bread is more like flour? I bet there's still flour on the... there may not be the eggs to actually make the bread, but I bet there's still flour. You could make... Is it soda bread? What was the bread that we made? We've got tons of flour. What we need is that milk, the funny product that you get from... Not whey or something. There was a milk product that you have to go with it. I don't know. Linda Kane says she bought hot cross buns today. Plenty of those. Nobody wants these fancy cakes, Linda. And Paul Smith said, so did I. Lemon drizzle ones. Very nice. And of course, what was her name in France? Oh, her name has gone. Let them eat cake. What was her name? Bloody gone, isn't it? The minute I wanted to reference a character from history who actually didn't say it after all. Marianne Antoinette, that was her name. Before somebody types it. Ed Loud says, Richard, I worked out 95% of my meals that way. Oh, do you? You work them all out in the forest. I learned to cook from people who lived through the rationing and live on what is in essence a modern version of a wartime diet. Yes, we can. And I think at the end of this, we might have a lot of healthy people. I mean, they may be ill with the virus, but they're going to be very healthy because they'll be running out of sugar and they won't need too much of that. They perhaps won't eat too many fatty things. They'll keep nice and lean. They won't overeat and indulge in chocolates and things because all the worried well would have bought all of that. And the thing is, of course, they'll digest everything so they barely poop a thing because they've only got one sheet of spare of loo roll to wipe their chubby little bottoms with. So we're all going to end up nice and fit. So let's find out what it's like in Croatia, shall we? Because in Croatia, there are terrible, terrible images to be seen of... I just get lining it up here. You think it's bad in the UK and in America, in France and Italy? Let's just check out what it's like overseas in Croatia this very afternoon with Andrew Norris.
Hello, Vobes. I'm in my studio and I'm with my wife, Jasna. We're keeping a respectful meter distance from each other. And this is Zagreb on Thursday the 19th of March. Look how empty it is. No traffic. Cafe down there is closed. The car park is empty. But the sun is shining, so something good. So I'm just going to head into my little local corner shop here and see what the state of the shelves are like. I only need to buy silver paper. I don't suppose there's a great demand for that, but let's have a look. Dobar dan, bog bog. Look at this. Full shelves. Milk, sauces, sugar, pasta. All that pasta. Nobody wants this pasta. Fruit juices, cheese, butter, salami. Bok. Not an empty shelf in sight. Remarkable. Oh look, toilet paper. Everything's full. Man with a mask. Oh. The disinfectant. Brandy, rum, vodka, gin. Internal disinfectant. This is quite normal in Croatia. People are sensible. They don't empty the shelves. It's the first thing that they see that they feel that they need. So Virginia. So the shopping experience is very pleasant here.
He's a smug one, isn't he? He's a smug one. That was today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to Andrew Norris for putting that report together. We will have more of the Andrew Norris moment from his other work that he does. But thank you so much, Andrew. That was very entertaining. And to see all the food on the shelves. Oh, my goodness, that's an image. You know, never mind sitting there looking at porn in the evening. You just want to keep replaying that, you know, the things that you cannot have put out there in front of you on video. Yes, I know. If only you had some tissues, eh? But you can't even satisfy yourself that way. What a shame. But there we are. We're all going to go over to Croatia. Well, we would do, of course, but there are no planes flying anywhere. So we can't even do that. Oh, thank you so much, Andrew. If anyone would like to put together a report of what their supermarket is like or what their town is like or a few seconds of what they're like, whether you're grumpy or happy or self-isolated or doing something interesting or non-interesting or you're bored out of your brains, then do send it in to me, richard@vobes.com. Send it via the service wetransfer.com. All the descriptions are in the instructions. The instructions are in the description. WeTransfer.com is the website. You go onto the website, you go to the free version, make sure that what you want to send over is less than 2 gigabytes. If you can film it at 720p, that really helps me out. Dave Ford has sent in something, but he always sends it over in 4K for some reason, and I have to spend ages trying to sort of get it down, because to squeeze it out the little pipe so that it comes to play to you, it has to go out at 720p. But I can tweak it, but it just takes a bit of effort to do that. I noticed that Ernie was saying that my chances of getting into a Spitfire this year seem to be a little bit lackluster because the events are being cancelled. I was hoping very much to do some videos about 80 years ago and the Battle of Britain. I know we're only in March at the moment, and we are really talking about the end of July, August sort of time. But it looks like some of those things that I wanted to do may not happen. It depends how we get on with this virus. But there we are. Anyway, they're the shelves in Croatia. Thank you so much for that. We're going to be going over to Dave Ford very shortly and try and guess where he is. But meanwhile, let me just go back to some of the comments here. As Kevin said, let's all go shopping in Zagreb. Linda Kane says the same, pretty much. Mickey Bain says different people with different ideas. That's true. Jeff Kellison says, I can tell you, I went to Walmart in California the other day, and it didn't look like that, no. Mind you, it probably won't stay like that in Zagreb, because there'll be a load of people trying to get over there. The migrants, I don't know whether you know this, but the migrants are no longer trying to get over here. This is quite a strange old turnaround, isn't it? Suddenly they were all desperate to come to Europe and it was going to be great. Now, actually, they're turning their little rubber dinghies round and they're trying to get over to Croatia because they now know that's where the food is and the good life. Yes, so they'll all be coming over to Croatia. So in a way, Andrew's done us all a big service. So that's it. Julia says, everyone here to Zagreb, and it looks like Linda Kane is jumping on board. Barry Stevens, hello to you, Barry. Tesco's here in Odium in Hampshire. Did a couple of three videos, I think, with lovely Barry a while ago. We need to do some more when this disease is all over, if we're all alive. He says he went to Tesco's there in Odium in Hampshire at 10 this morning, and it wasn't too bad. It was only half full, but there was no pasta, meat, or rice, or bog roll. However, it had the beer that he'd gone in for. Yeah, you see, people have got different priorities, haven't you? And after all, you could have a beer at breakfast because beer is made from cereal. So it is a bit like having a cereal. Ernie says, Julia, indeed. He says, I was invited to 2 VE events in London where it would have been shown live, presumably the Spitfire, at the British Army Museum at St James Park in May. And Ramiboo says Andrew can make a killing if he bought it all up and sold it on eBay. $100 for a bag of pasta. But is anybody really going to pay that sort of money? I mean, maybe they will, but it wouldn't be me. Where in Sussex says, just avoid the big shop. Simple. Saw a picture of Lundis in Newhaven 2 days ago. Looked like that Croatian shop. Yet the good pensioners of Newhaven had a 300-yard long queue this morning at Sainsbury's. Maybe they just can't get to the corner shop because there's no parking. Maybe that is a problem. So who knows? Let's go and find out where Dave is, if Dave is anywhere, in Sussex. This is Dave Ford and his lovely Logan.
Hello, Richard. Hello, everybody in Vobes land. Dave here, together with my trusty hound, Logan. And what am I doing? Well, I'm in Sussex. People kept telling me I must get out of the New Forest. So I thought, well, I'll go to Sussex. I know there's another chap who's always doing videos in Sussex, so it's been difficult to find somewhere in Sussex that he hasn't filmed, but I think I've found somewhere. What a beautiful day, and lovely to see Logan without his coat on. No mud, no wind, no rain. I won't tell you where I am, but how about that? That might give you a clue. Absolutely glorious. Anyway, it won't take up too much more of your time. We've got a walk to do. Back to you in the studio.
And there he goes with his cheeky little wink. So, where in Sussex is he? Let's ask Steve Pilfold, who's otherwise known as Where in Sussex. Where in Sussex is Dave Ford? Where in Sussex? Oh, God, this is going to get complicated. And Kevin, presumably somewhere near Midhurst. So maybe Kevin knows, because Kevin lives in Midhurst. So is he anywhere near you, Kevin? That's what I want to know. Where in Sussex actually says we got lucky with loo roll, as I got an 18-pack in Tesco's. 18 packs. Did they ever produce 18 packs? I mean, what family goes and buys in an ordinary situation 18 packs? Is it the dysentery family? Oh, yes, look, there's the dysentery family coming in. Better get the 18 packers for that. What do you do with it? Do you just like reel it off like this and just wipe continuously and chuck it up? I mean, what do you do with 18 packs? It's ridiculous. That's just mad. Anyway, he says at exactly the same time, Mrs. P... there we see, it shows what she does with it, was in Asda getting the kids' clothes, and they wheeled out 24 packs. So she got one of those, not knowing. Yeah, so there we are. There's the hoarders for you. Where in Sussex are they hoarding it? That's what we want to know. Where in Sussex are you stashing this stuff? I bet he's got people all over the country buying up these packs. Next, there'll be a 48 pack so that they can really just let it go and do their business. My goodness. Nigel Sadler says Chalkland somewhere. Chalkland, where's that then? Chalkland somewhere. Ambersham or Graffham, says Kevin's Rambles. Dean Cooper says it's the Ashdown Forest. Linda Kane is suggesting Midhurst Common. Rami Boo says no! The hoarders trying to resell on eBay. I would definitely not buy it either. I hope the ones doing it get stuck with it all. Well, I hope they do. Nigel Sadler's suggesting it's Petworth. Petworth, I think, had a few buildings in it, if I remember rightly. I mean, I know there's a church and a large country house at Petworth. It's the trees, I think, that gives it away, isn't it? It's the pine trees. Stedham or Iping Common, says Kevin Rambles. Nigel Sadler has now retracted his message. Ernie says, Richard and Julia, some slight good news. One of the events can be moved to the weekend of the 15th and 16th of August to celebrate VE Day and VJ Day. So, fingers crossed. So, yeah, if anyone would like a free loo roll, then do get in touch with Where in Sussex. Judith has already made her request, which is very good. Robert Croser says, wait till the spring proper and we can use dock leaves for the loo. Absolutely. There's probably a whole load. I was listening to the radio and there was somebody who does reusable, like flannels, basically. They put them into a special box and they just shove them in the washing machine. Sounds all right to me. Nigel Sadler says some people use a huge amount of loo roll. We had a tenant who, on her own, would use a whole roll in 2 days. What do they use it for? That's what I want to know. I mean, you know, if they've got a medical condition, which means they just cannot stop going, then perhaps they need a catheter bag rather than loo roll. But there's not been a run on catheter bags. Where in Sussex says 18 loo rolls don't last that long in a house of 5, though. 3 weeks? Well, that's all right. You could go once a week and get that, couldn't you? Once a week? Then you would only need... You'd have more space in your house. David Keel says, Hayshot Common. I don't know if Dave Ford is actually out there to tell us where it is, because he hasn't told me where it is. So I have no idea. Is Dave Ford actually out there? Anne Osborne says in December, Bob bought a packet on the bus, 2 times 24 packs of toilet rolls from Aldi, a total of 20 in December. And don't tell me you're only through the first roll. I imagine that, somebody like Anne and Bob, they're almost akin to royalty. So the Queen, as we know, doesn't poo. So the Queen doesn't actually need any loo roll. And I imagine Anne and Bob are similar to that, really, that they barely need anything. I think he's over Midhurst way. Thanks. Yeah, everybody else has guessed, Mr. Pilfold. I mean, I was hoping you would come in, where in Sussex, immediately. Fiona Cooper says, my friend Hasn't used loo roll for 2 years. No one will get close to her anyway, so she doesn't need to self-isolate or have a social distance. The people who get close to her need pegs on their... I'm not surprised. Pegs on their nose. Robert Croatia says, must have eaten a lot of curries then. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Loo roll depends on the weather. 4 sheets to the wind. Ba-dum-bum. Love it. No, Dave Ford is not in tonight. Well, he'll have to tell us where this blooming place is, because I don't know where it is. Right, lovely Julia and I were out earlier today. What have we been up to, and what have you got to look forward to tomorrow? Let's find out. We've taken a short break from our filming. We've been out today near Stenning in West Sussex. You've got your gloves on?
I am.
I've lost one of my gloves, one of the gloves that lovely Anne Osborne sent me.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I was supposed to be going up to see Matthew Holdsworth to do some more of the Green Sand Way for another of our Bald Explorer videos, but unfortunately the weather is a bit drizzly and a bit grim, and I thought it's a long way to go to try and make 2 videos in the wet weather. It would be awful. So I thought I could just nip out into the cold and nasty weather and do something more locally, and then rush home and warm up by the fire rather than sit in a car and get chilled.
Yeah, save on a bit of fuel as well.
Yes. Then the lovely Julia said,
What about we take the little camping stove and a can of soup?
which was great, a can of soup.
Yeah.
What soup did we have?
We had chicken and multigrain.
And it was the last soup in the supermarkets. It's funny how the supermarkets don't just sell soups. That's why they're super. Anyway, there's no soup left on the shelves. If you found any soup, do let us know, because the next time we go out, we'd like to try a different one.
Yeah.
We could make that a theme, couldn't we? Each Bald Explorer, we have a different soup.
Yes.
That'd be quite...
I was trying to think of a catchy name for it, like a...
Super dupe.
Yeah, but not that.
No. The noise you can hear in the background, unfortunately, apart from the odd birdie twiddlies, is cars. That's because we took a lovely circuitous route here. We're near Stenning in West Sussex, and we walked along through the mists and down this lovely little lane here. And then we decided to have our soup and make the end of our video right in front of a very busy road.
Well, we didn't get to where we wanted to go, did we? But
That's true. Where we wanted to go was in the deep, darkest forests, but we couldn't get into the deep, darkest forests because I misread the map. And
you couldn't have done that.
I know.
No.
I know. Someone has professionally...
You're having me on. You're pulling my leg.
Yeah.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Yeah, it meant going through a private farm, and ordinarily that might not be an issue, but what with all this foot and mouth going round, we thought we didn't want to put our feet in each other's mouths.
I don't want to put my foot in it.
No. Anyway, that's what we've been up to today. Hopefully we'll be out again. Sorry, it's some of that soup repeating on me. We'll be out again tomorrow. So check out the Bald Explorer for its next video. In the meantime, back to the studio. Do you think he's gone back to the studio?
Don't know.
Or is he just playing the theme tune like he always bloody does?
I reckon so.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. No, I've managed not to play the outro or intro on that clip, although I'm bound to cock it up a little bit later on. Anyway, that's what we were up to, something to look forward to in the morning or later on tonight, depending on where you are and how you watch, of course. Thanks to the lovely Julia for assisting me again. She's been a good old assistant this week because we've been out together doing these videos, which has been fantastic. We have got a trip next week, and so far, having spoken to the Airbnb people, they're quite happy for us to still stay at their Airbnb, and we will be out in the Hampshire landscape exploring places there. Obviously, we will be trying to avoid people, but we will need to buy some food, and we just hope that by next week, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, so that we can get out and do this, there will be some food. Now, the funny thing is that whenever I go away, I do actually have a box which I keep a number of, essentials in. And I think in tomorrow's show I might just go through the box because it might surprise me. I believe there's actually some pasta in the box that I bought probably when Kevin and I went to Norfolk. That was the last time the box has left the studio. I'm just looking down there. I should have got that. There's probably some stuff that's probably gone a bit mouldy, but we might be able to make something up out of that. Who knows what's in that box? But we will need to see if there is some shops, maybe some farm shops in the locality that can help us out. That's what we'll be looking for. So we'll try and bring you some reports while we're away, but more about that nearer the time. Where in Sussex says, I found something interesting on the beach, which I need to make into a video about when I get a moment. Work for me the next 3 days, though, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Are the trains still operating? I didn't think anybody was allowed to go on the trains. So that's interesting. Everybody's interested in Julia's lovely gloves. Andrew Murphy says, hi, Richard. I went swimming tonight, and despite the virus, the pool was fairly busy. Oh, my goodness. You went in a shared environment of water with potential virus carrying people, and did they put extra chlorine into the water? Was it like swimming in bleach? And did you accidentally swallow any of the water? Did you think that was a wise thing to do? There's something in me that can't help thinking that having a bath, semi-naked, practically naked, with other members of the human race when there is a virus going around may not be the most healthy of options. Certainly you would not get me into an environment like that. I might go and jump in a river that had piranha or was rat infested rather than jump in with sweaty people who I bet have not washed since they got home from work. That, I have to say, is an award-winning moment. A moment of Murphy, ladies and gentlemen. Did you video it? And have you, by any chance, got the names and numbers of everybody who was in that pool should any of those go down very ill? I don't know what possessed you. I'm sorry, I'm slightly gobsmacked by the very notion that somebody would do that. I always go on a Thursday night, he says, come what may. Well, I bet you're one of those people that if it was the Second World War and the Germans were bombing, you'd still go to the cinema and get the 2 and 6s, wouldn't you? Well done for you for not breaking a habit of a lifetime. And I hope to God that they put in a little extra domestos into the water that knocks 99.9 of coronavirus victims dead. Dear, oh dear, that's amusing. Mark Donny McLeod says, Murphy wants time off. I can tell you this thing ain't nice. And Mark, have you got the coronavirus? Is that what you're saying? I know you said you were in self-quarantine, but a lot of people are in self-quarantine because they suspect they've got it. But have you actually got it? Do you know what it's like? Can you tell us from a victim's point of view, are you coping? Are you in a very nasty, frighten us, scare the living daylights out of us? What is it like? Tell us what it is, because so far I've not come across anybody who's actually had this virus. I'm beginning to think it's a bit like in the Second World War, the first year when we'd declared war on Germany and they called it the phony war because we really didn't think anything was happening. And to a degree, we hear all of this tragedy, but most of us don't know anybody who's actually got we hear it on the news but nobody generally, there's so few people in comparison to the 66 million of us that very few of us actually know anybody with the virus. So it can seem like the whole thing is a big hoax, which of course I'm not saying it is, but it can seem like that. So I'd be interested to know. Mark Donny McLeod says, according to the website, yes, it is. Actually, I've had worse flus. Oh, thank Christ for that. That's good. I don't mean that it's good that you've had worse flus, but it's good that it isn't as grim as you are making out. I think people need to be more reassured as the media is ramping this up, that we just want to know that it is bearable and that for most people we can get through. That's not to say that, that we're making light of the situation, but my goodness, there is so much doom and gloom at the moment that any kind of light or realistic take on this situation would be good. It doesn't help when people are putting out reports that the army is on manoeuvres and about to be going up and down the street with their Kalashnikovs or whatever it is they have, and their hazmat suits and stuff. That was going to put the fear of God into everyone. Robert Croatia says, returning from the northeast by train, there were 3 people on the way, including himself, so barely anybody's on there. Dean Cooper says, everybody's in Tesco's. That's probably true. Oh, no, he's gone to Tesco's. Fair enough. Mickey says, therefore chlorine is the solution to the virus. Oh, right. Chlorine would kill the virus, says Kevin's Rambles. How do you know that, Kevin? I mean, no disrespect, but you paint and decorate for a living. So how do you know? You're not a virologist, are you? I mean, I'm not trying to put you down or anything. It's just, I mean, I hold my hands up. I know nothing about this at all, for sure, because it's not my field of speciality. All I know is how to put one clip after another clip in a video and make it reasonably bearable. Ian Beddoe says 2 friends of ours flew back from Spain on Ryanair this week. They were the only passengers on board. They still had to pay for a cup of tea. Well, I wonder if at the end of it they were able to tip the pilot. I mean, these days, there won't be any staff left to fly these planes. Mark Selwood has finally come. He says, hi, Richard. Sorry, just come across the end of today's show. No problem there. You can watch the rerun. It's free, It's free. Mark Donny McLeod says, I had a very high temperature, but sneezing and coughing a lot. I guess the real clue is the temperature bit, isn't it? Fiona says, pools never have foot baths before you get into the pools. Do they not have foot? I mean, you would want a whole body immersion, wouldn't you? Rami Boy says the moist, humid environments of swimming pools, I think, would be a breeding ground. Well, that is my thoughts. Has Mr. Murphy disappeared? I hope I haven't upset you, Mr. Murphy, because I would be worried that Andrew, if I've spoken out of turn. But you know what you're doing. But it'd be interesting to know it. Barbara Charles says chlorotine's bleach kills virus. Well, there's a logic to that. But if the virus is in you, does it not form that you've got to swallow the virus? I mean, you've got to swallow the bleach. No one's going to actually swallow bleach, are they? I mean, if it's in your system, if it's in the air or it's in, you're there and you're getting changed and it's on the surfaces and you get it on your hands and you touch yourself, all those naked bodies before you get into the chlorine. Once it's in your system, the chlorine isn't going through your system, is it? No, he says, Andrew says, I'm still here. Keep us in touch, Andrew. We'll be following you with interest. You may have the cure that nobody has thought of, in which case we will be filling up stadiums with water and chucking in as much domestos as we can get in there, and we'll all be going for a naked bath. One great big naked chlorined orgy might be the thing that saves the planet, and you might be the guinea pig, the man who has saved us all, and you could be doing us a great service. On the other hand, you might be stone dead within minutes. So let's it's like flipping a coin on this channel, isn't it? Let's hope that you're going to be all right, because we're all backing you. We're all backing you, Andrew. We all hope that you've found the cure inadvertently and you've advertised it on the Vobes show. So that could be interesting. Rami Boo says that's the point. They would have to add the whole lot more into the pool to kill it. but still the environment, the changing rooms and all of that. Yeah, Ed Loud says, funny thing, all painters and decorators I've known are really unnervingly smart. Well, there we are. Kevin is smart. He is very smart. He always dresses very nicely, very dapper, trims his beard. He's got a white beard. He does a lot of painting with white paint. I don't know whether there's a correlation between those two things. Anyway, always watching the documentary channels and reading about fact, but Kevin doesn't read, actually. Wish I was that smart, he says, Ed Loud. Mickey Stevens says, but I've heard scientists did successful tests using hydroxide chlorine as an anti-malarial drug. Is that the stuff that women put in their hairs? I'm not asking which hairs. Ringer Ollie, good evening, Richard. Good evening, Ringer Ollie. We're coming to the end of the show. I hope so, because my throat is drying up tonight, a bit unusually. Mark Selwood says, I come to the show to hear about a great naked chlorine orgy. It's his kind of show. Oh, no, it's not mucking about. It's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it? Nicky, we've got to get covered in chlorine. That's the way to get out of all this trouble, he says, down there in Cornwall. David Keel says, BBC scientists say you can't kill a virus for the reason it isn't alive in the first place. I don't understand, he says. I'm just quoting it. So there we are. Who's smart now? Mark Donny McLeod says, not ibuprofen, though, as it could cause problems, as it's an anti-inflammatory. The hydrochloroxidine, high risk, according to my GP, says Philip Hammond. Well, you stay safe. We don't want anybody. Don't get into a swimming pool. We don't know yet whether that is the answer. Get into a bath on your own. And if you want to experiment with different types of bleaches, supermarket bleach over branded bleach, you're very welcome. Let us know how you get on. If your skin starts to fall off and burn, please don't blame me. Remember not to take anything I say at face value and always consult somebody who knows what they're talking about and is an expert. I believe Kevin is on hand to take your calls. His number is a Midhurst number and it goes something like 555 432 1122 0104 99673 308 8471. I can't repeat that number because I just made it up. Mark Donny says, no, it's hydrogen peroxide for hair. Don't get confused and stick this other stuff, the hydroxychloroquine. Don't put that in your hair. I don't even. Well, where could you even get it? You can't get. I bet there's not been a run of that in the supermarket. Apparently, the HIV drug can kill the virus, says Michael Angel. Oh, that's all right then. Ringer Ollie says, I hope you're staying safe. Well, we're trying to stay safe, although the lovely Julia and I are venturing out into the wilds of the world. We're staying with the animal kingdom as much as we can and nature, because I've noticed trees aren't falling over from the coronavirus and neither are squirrels. So we're sort of gambling about with them rather than other human beings in large pools of water. Robert Croser says, really, Michael, all I was going to do was pop into HIV for Tom Jones' CD or Mother's Day. I didn't know HIV was still HMV, I think it is. I didn't know whether they're still going. Mark Selwood says, I've shopped at River Island once and today received an email to stay away. Yeah. You can imagine that, all the shops now saying, please don't come into our shop and buy anything. We're actually going to pay you to stay away. That would be more like it, wouldn't it? Mark Donny McLeod says something. And Marriott Genealogy is saying, here we go, hydrochloroquine increases the absorption of zinc into cells. Zinc interferes with stops the reproduction of the virus RNA. What is RNA stands for? Prescription only. Thank God for that. Well, good luck, Philip. We're obviously on your side. I mean, please, nobody take any offence at the things that I come out with. As you can tell, this is a bit of a stream of consciousness. I once had an email I do a thing called the Naked Englishman podcast for people who support the show, patrons of Vobes and things. And I do this email called the Naked Englishman podcast. It's an audio thing. It goes out every day. I do a lot of nonsense, don't I, really? And it is a stream of consciousness. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I turn on the microphone and I'm sitting there and I'll talk about things, life, the universe and everything, things that appeal to me, what's happened to me in the day. I've been doing this since 2005, 2006. And somebody was listening to this and he had an issue with me about something, which is fair enough. I don't mind people having an issue. We've all got difference of opinion and that's absolutely fine and how it should be. But he said, I know, his email started off, I know your podcast is a stream of consciousness, but really, shouldn't you think before you speak? And then he had this issue. And it was like, you've just answered it. It is a stream of consciousness. So of course I'm thinking as I speak. I'm not thinking before I speak. Some people, it does make you laugh. Oh my God, we're going into all sorts of funny looking names for things. Audrey Forbes Hambleton says, all the places I've ever shopped are emailing me of how much they care about me. They care so very much that we don't want you to die. But if you do die, just before you die, please buy something from us. Write your will and testimony so that we can supply everything at your funeral. Yeah, they only care because they care about your money. No offence taken, says Philip. Thank God for that. Nigel Sadler says Richard is currently producing 1.2 to 2 hours of broadcast material every day. Am I really? Is that what I'm doing? Yeah, I do like a 10 to 15 minute Naked Englishman in the morning. I do a 10 to 13 minute daily video. So that's half an hour, isn't it, more or less? And then if I'm doing this each week for an hour, you're quite right. Yeah, 1 to 2 hours of broadcast nonsense. Why anybody ever listens or watches, I really don't know, but I'm absolutely thrilled that you do. W. Day Harville says zinc is the answer, but it needs another drug to make the virus open up for zinc to work. Vitamin C in a large amount is also good. There we go, vitamin C. I wish it was vitamin D and the sun would come out. We'd all be very happy, wouldn't we? Time is on the way out at the moment. I need to come back into. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I knew I was going to cock it up at one point, and that was. I don't know why. Every time I come back, it clicks into that. There's a strange little loophole. Robert Croser says, I love the smell of a Naked Englishman in the morning. Yes, of course, Mr. Croser. I'm sure you and your weird ways. You probably do. What was I going to say? Yeah, you can support the show at any time. And thank you to those people who recently have been supporting me. I do appreciate it. It does help me put petrol in the car and get out to the places to keep the videos coming on. Little donation really does help. You'll notice that so many of the YouTubers out there do ask you to help a little bit, even if it's only a pound or $1 or a price of a cup of coffee or the price of a packet of 24 loo rolls. Is actually quite useful. If you can't send loo rolls, the money to buy one would be good. The money to buy, the nice quilted ones, not the ones that you'd get from these discount stores, not the ones from the pound shop, for example. That's not the same thing. But the nice quilted ones that often have adverts with little Labradors, baby Labradors running about. They're, big packet of 48 of those, whatever they cost, must cost a small fortune, especially if you're buying them on eBay. No, but seriously, thank you very much. The only way I'm earning my money at the moment, so doing my best to keep people entertained and keeping them together and lightening the mood, but also, where possible, sharing whatever bits and pieces of news we've got. So thank you for that. And do send in. The show works so well if the audience sends in some video clips like we saw today. Really great. Thanks to Andrew Norris there for the inside of the panic buying in Croatia. That did make me laugh. And of course to Dave Ford for his bit. The bit with the lovely Julia was great, and her gloves. And to you, wonderful people, for tuning in this evening. I'm going to go and rest my voice. But do take care. Remember to wash your hands. And if you are covering yourself with bleach, please don't mention my name when you have to see the doctors. Take care, one and all. It's been lovely to see you with you. And sorry if I didn't read out your comments, but it's been wonderful. If you're feeling well enough, why not stay a little longer, says the lovely Julie. I'm actually feeling, I am feeling a bit better, but I can feel my chest tightening up. And I'm going to, tonight, because it's a Thursday and it's not the official day, I'm just going to rest myself a little bit because I've been on the go since 5:30 this morning. So I'm going to try and get an earlier night if that's at all possible. I've still got the description and the thumbnail to do for tomorrow's video. So I haven't really stopped, but that's not your problem. Take care, one and all. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch up with you tomorrow one way or another. Take care and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.